I like to deburr everything between my cuts. So I'm going to chamfer the dowel, locating holes in a few of the water passages before I do my last cut. Looks pretty good. So that's the first pass 5/1000ths cut. We're going to probably take another 5 off, and you can see just how horrible the deck is from the factory. And this one's bad, but I've seen them a whole lot worse. But you can actually run your hand across this and feel this. So we're gonna check it and take another 5 off. So we got this side of the 350 decked. I'm going to measure the deck height on it and see where we are. We took about 10/1000ths off to clean everything up and just square it. You may have seen in the video where I was drilling the deck. I do that because Felpro with this gasket recommends that these holes be open in the middle. So that's what I did, and I like to do all my drilling, and if I'm going to do any chamfering, I like to do that first. So and deburring around the edges. Sometimes I'll do that in the middle if I know I'm going to take another pass. That way there's no slipping and scratching the deck. So I'm going to measure it. I'll roll her over and start on the other side. Okay, so we made about a 3/1000 cut. You can see we're missing here. We're missing all this. It starts to clean up, misses. So you can see how horrible the deck is. And you could say, well, the machine isn't true. You could say a lot of things, but the bottom line is if you notice the other side, it was just the opposite. So that means there was a little bit of twist to it through the center line of the housing boards. And somebody might say, well, you line board it crooked. Well, you can't line board crooked enough to change it that much. And the bottom line is if every single one of these caps is cleaned up 100% or 99%, that means from the parting lines all the way around on the caps, the end caps, the middle caps, which were off a different block, but even the end caps. So the block has got, I'd call it a twist to it. And that's because they're done by the factory and they're not done on a true deck plate. How close is the true deck? Well, it's closer than the factory, obviously, and it's nothing unusual. I see it all the time. Some engines are better than others. Some manufacturers are better than others. But everybody has a chance to do crap work, and it seems like every once in a while, if you do enough of these, you'll find it. So it's not really unusual. I get a kick out of the guys that say the machine shop guys are going to screw you. You can straighten this out at home. Well, I don't know about all that. If you know how to use a file, I guess you could sit there and file till the second coming of Christ, and you might get it flat enough, but it wasn't very flat to begin with. So why would you want to waste your time half-stepping something, especially a block that's 50 years old? I mean, these things move around, and you can see where antifreeze and just coolant is eroded on the block, and it's just for a couple $100 you can usually get them decked. It's always nice to start out with a fresh, clean, flat deck, but that's my opinion. So I'm gonna make another pass on this and see where we're at. Well, we'll check it again for height. Cleaned up good all the way up to here, and there's actually a low spot right here, which is low right there. Right from here to here, it's low. I'm sure it's saying we got to take another 5 off, which makes sense. But we'll actually put the gauge on it and check it. And 5/1000ths, it'll be over and done with. I like to check it to make sure that it's square to the plate. And then if I have to do any adjusting, if it's just a couple thousandths one way or the other, I'll do that. 5 will I'll have 3/1000ths. So it wouldn't be the end of the day if I had to move it. But last pass I checked it, it was quite good. So we'll check it again. And if you look at my videos on my channel, it'll show you how I do it. But we'll check it and we'll get going on it. And we're not going to use the press-in plugs. The tin plugs work good. You put 620 Loctite on them, and then once you drive them in, you stake them. But I'm going to do this one. I'm going to tap him. Okay, and them red sticks, spray sticks there, they show where the entry is for the oil. So the oil comes up here, and it goes down here. And then it oils the cam, and it oils the front and main. So, sorry about the shaking camera. You got to make sure that you don't block that. Now you see that step down there. The pipe plug usually don't start cutting decent threads until you're just about into that. And you got to make sure that you don't block it off. Now I use a short pipe plug. There's two sizes on these. There's short and there's a long, well, at least easily found. Then you can modify it, and I do that with a belt sander. Um, you can do it with a lathe too. You can profile that. You want to make sure you don't get into the cut through the corners of the hex drive. This one's fine. So we'll get to tapping these. Okay, so when you're tapping these out, you want to go a little bit and then check it and go a little bit more and check it. You don't want to just run it all the way down. There'll be a certain part of the tap that you're not going to use because it's tapered, so you're going to have to, you can mark the tap, but the tap's going to drop in like that. That's going to help center it. Of course, once you get your plugs all tapped out, you want to make sure that the height is good here. You want to make sure that that clears everything, timing chain set, whatever. You want it somewhat flush, but then again, you don't want it to a point where it's going to be blocking off that oil passage, gallery, whatever you want to call it. So we started some threads already. We're going to thread this in here. Okay, I'm going to maybe go just a little bit more. The thing is a lot of times you don't get a lot of good thread engagement. So with these plugs, you definitely want to use some sort of, I would recommend maybe using a little thread locker on it. This tap's a modified tap, it's been shortened. So we'll just go down. I'm going to go one turn about there. I'm going to stop. Of course, it's on a taper, so it's going to drive in, and when it drives in, it's going to tighten itself up. And you know, you can check it with your stick or whatever, and you can rub it right on the roof of it. It's not even getting close, and I'll show you in a minute. We'll do the other two, and the other two, there's no holes in there, no oil passages to worry about. That's not to say Ford or another block might have something totally different. This is just the oiling on the Chevrolet early style block. Everything changes with years and makes and models. So anytime you're removing a tin type stamped plug, you always want to, with a pipe plug, you always want to make sure what you're doing and you're not blocking off any oiling. If you have any long handled hex drives, if you're doing it with a belt sander and you hold it up carefully, very carefully, and you can spin it and you can grind a little bit of taper on it, but I didn't recommend that. I'm just saying if you're real careful, because if you're not real careful, it'll come back at you and you'll wear it. So that's good to go. That's how you do that job. Do you have to modify this top plug? It depends on how far you go in. I would recommend using, first off, the shallow pipe plug. And you don't need all the threads to hold that. That's not going to blow out. So you can sand it back at about a 45-degree angle, but it's fine where it's at. Well, she's in the boring bar, and I'm probably not going to make a video of boring this block. There's plenty of videos of me boring 350s on my channel, but you never know. I might take a short video of it. So then we'll hone it, and then it'll be all prep work. And I might cover some of that, although I have many videos covering prep work. So this is the 565. We're back on this blower engine. I decked it last year. I honed it all out last year, and we've got another set of lifters for it. So I'll be putting pins in just the general prep of it, and then an extensive prep, going in deburring oil galleries and chasing off flash and making a screen kit for it. And I probably will be covering some of that on my channel. So if you enjoy my videos, hit like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. So, well, that's going to be it for today. Thanks for watching.